Good evening, everyone. We got a lot of people in here, and the chat is very, very busy already. Amazing. Hope you all have had a great weekend. I know it's been busy here. Um, I was able to read over some of this before I jumped in here. Um, Celeste, I hope your move and your transition goes well. And for the compliments that you tapped in there, appreciate that. That is very amazing. And the fact that you stated, you're right. I did not know that the entities and deities you've worked with and have met, that none of them don't hold me in high regard. That's touching. Thank you very much for sharing that. And Anthony De Orio, thank you very much for your compliments as well and your recommendations of the courses. Appreciate it. I'm glad you all enjoy those as much as you do. Um, and Celeste, I'm grateful that I can aid you and help you along your path. And it's interesting. I had a lot of people. I've taken martial arts and stuff, so sensei is a title, and I'm not sure I've ever thought it would apply to me. But thank you very much. It means a lot to me. It really does. Anime pick movies. Hey, good to see you, Jade. Glad you could make it. Hopefully the kids aren't jumping on your head too much. Tigress, good to see you. Let's see, Katie, hello. Purified, you made it. And Desvolt, welcome. Luna, there you are. Victoria, hello. And Lori, hey from Oklahoma. Thank you for the no problem, Lori. Glad you could make it, and definitely glad you're enjoying the channel. I'm happy to share it. Happy to share it. This is definitely a labor of love. So, few quick announcements. Obviously, make sure you hit the like button to let YouTube know you like the work we are doing. That way, the algorithm will show more people. More people who are seeking this information can find it easier. That's always a big one there. Live session with your trick is the highlight of my weekend. Oh, Katie, that's sweet. You all are amazing. You guys are great. Thank you. You guys definitely make it worthwhile. And I'll be honest, I enjoy being able to close out my weekend here with you all. I actually have fun. That, what was it, 1 or 2 weekends where I actually couldn't do the coffee hour? It just didn't feel right. My whole week was shot. It threw me off. I didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. Um, but one thing that you all may enjoy in hearing, we have looked over the data over the last month and a half for the new times for the streams. And participation, audience, the ability for people to make it, it's just not anywhere near where it should be. So we will be taking both Research and Ramblings and Magickal Coffee Hour back to their original times, which will be 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time starting next week. So Friday, Saturday, 7 p.m. Come join us, have some fun and laughs. We'll be getting back onto those normal times. I know many of you understood why we tried the new times, and thank you for bearing with us while we tried it. But I know many of you are definitely very anxious for us to get back to the original times as well. So that is going to be happening. All right. Oh, we got questions coming in already. Devolt, am I supposed to blank my mind or push thoughts away while meditating to connect with an entity? Honestly, focus on the entity when you're connecting with an entity. You want to focus on the entity, and then as thoughts drift in, you need to ask yourself, does this have to do with the entity? Does this have to do why I'm connecting with the entity? If no, push it away. If you focus on blanking your mind, you're not connecting with anything. You're literally disconnecting. So no, definitely don't go with the blank your mind method on that one when connecting with an entity. Angelica, hello, blessings to you as well. Let's see here. It does. It does. It feels like we got us a good little functional family here. It's amazing, Celeste. Celeste. Oh, I got to join the D&D YouTube channel. Oh, awesome. I hope you enjoy that one too. It's a bit more fun and goofy. My daughter released her video earlier this week, showing some of the shenanigans that she's been pulling, and trying to persuade more people to her side of that fence, which has been very, very funny. Yeah, the cult of horse. I've never seen an NPC quite go to this, but yeah, but that's for the D&D channel. We will definitely be talking more about that on the D&D channel for sure. So if you have it, go check out the Dad and Daughters D&D, where me and Halloween will be talking far more of that. Let's see here. Is that Birdie Buns? I got a question. Do you have a favorite kitchen witchcraft recipe? Oh, that's actually a good question. It's not really a favorite witchcraft recipe, Birdie. It's more of a favorite witchcraft recipe medium. Okay. My favorite kitchen witch recipe would actually be soup or stew, and I definitely lean more into stews. And the reason is, if you understand the basics of a good soup or stew, you immediately have an infinitely versatile canvas to work with. And you can build it for anything, any time of year, any way you need it, whatever your goal may be, you can build on that with it. So, soups and stews are my favorite, absolute favorite to work with when doing any form of kitchen witchery because of that. And you can just do so much with them. They're so freaking versatile. So, those are definitely my go tos. There are other things I do, like I actually have entire kitchen witchery volumes in my grimoire on grilling and smoking or running a fire pit and stuff like that, which is actually a series of videos I'm hoping to do and share with you all, and how that you can work those into the outdoors as well. But yeah, I would say soups and stews are my favorite just because of their versatility. And at any point, I can easily throw a soup or stew together for practically anything I need to do magic for, without even having to go to the store. So those would be my favorite, Birdie. Doing good, Angela. And Angela, doing pretty good. Been a busy weekend here, actually. The main topic was basically, we are going to be going back to the normal times and everything. And oh, look at that! Dad and daughter D&D popped in there, Halloween. I don't know if you realized you said hello with that. Oh, that's good. That is good. Loved it. Oh, good. There she is. Conscious Lolo. How would somebody achieve telekinesis? I'll be honest with you, Conscious. I don't know. Telekinesis is something that I personally have not achieved. It's something I've researched a lot. I've done a lot of traveling for people who claim to have achieved it. And I'll be honest, of the something like 75, 80 people I've traveled, talked to, none of them have actually proven it. In fact, they were all hoaxes. Some of them really bad hoaxes. I don't know how they even got past it, but some of them were attempted to be better at it. So I've never actually seen verifiable proof of anyone who has genuinely actually developed such an ability. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. In research of magic, we always have to go on the fact that data and proof as it stands may not make it a verifiable path, but that does not mean it's not achievable per se. But until somebody can gather the data and be able to prove it's verifiable and can manifest and is reliable and repeatable and doable, then I will remain a skeptic of it. That's just how I am. That's a big thing. A lot of people forget. Actually, interesting that you brought that up, because one of the things that I get asked a lot, um, especially by religious people, they talk about how evolution and creation can't possibly even remotely be related because they say science keeps changing the information. No, science reevaluates the data and course corrects as data comes in. Science is not afraid to admit it was wrong and course correct and change the data. Religions do not do that. Religions, regardless of data, will stick to whatever viewpoint they have, and that's a dangerous, dangerous thing. So, as a mage, a magician, and a practitioner of magic, yes, I have theories, I have ideals, and I would say 90% of my things, they all do manifest. And I stick with what manifests and what works. But I'm always open to more data, and I'm willing and ready to shift my understanding based on that data as it comes in. That's the only way we grow. So you have to be willing to grow, and you have to be willing to accept new data. But that new data also has to come in because you can't just take something on somebody's word. There's too many frauds out there. Let's see. Hope that makes some sense. Let's see. Doing good. What do I think of the Ascended Masters terms and how they do? The terminology in some of the modern practices gets a little wonky, and sometimes it's a bit meshed, and some of it doesn't even match. But Ascended Masters in general, as individuals who have ascended and achieved a form of mastery and are willing to help us in doing the same, yeah, I've met a few of them, and actually I've enjoyed working with them. Um, I don't know if I'm free to share the names of the individuals I've worked with, but the ideal and the concept, yeah, it works. It's fine. But again, their motivations, their goals are pretty much the same as everything else. They want to see us ascend and work our way into them, to being similar to them and finding our own individual path. Um, So Luna, Cult of Horse sounds like something Loki would come up with. Oh God, no, no, no. Has nothing to do with Loki and horses. Oh Lord, no. Luna, go to Dad and Daughter's D&D after the stream, or I'll actually share the video for you in the admin section of the Discord, so you can see what we're talking about. It's at this point, I think it's a series of videos. Uh, Victoria, when talking with entities telepathically, can they read all your thoughts or just the ones you direct at them? All of them. Anytime you are approaching an entity, assume that entity already knows everything that you're going to say. It may require you, it may demand of you that you say it out loud and direct it toward it. It's not going to do all the work for you, but you do have to assume that it already knows everything you're thinking before you know it. And that is especially true of dragons. No, dragon's blood incense. It's not a stone. It's a resin. But the resin actually is made from the sap of a tree, and it's not related to dragons on a genetic level. It's a representation of it, and the representation comes from the fact that when a lot of druids would speak as the earth as a whole as the dragon, these trees, their sap is a deep, deep, beautiful blood red, and it looks like they're bleeding when you cut into them. So the name of the tree actually gets its name from that, and the genus of palm tree is actually named Draconis. Has draconic or Draconis in the actual name of it, but it's not actually related to it on a genetic level. It's a symbolic level. Halloween, you made it. Try to, you got it. We love it. Hey, if you ask me, the mistake worked out nicely. See what we jumped. We jumped. Sorry about that, people. Scrimps ahoy! Hey, glad you can make it. My week was very, 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 very busy. Have I learned any new things? Yeah, I've learned a few new things. Many of them from the Cliffothic path, in which there's certain things I need to look at, reevaluate. Even a few journals I've been requested to relook over. Working with the Fae, they've also presented me with a few conundrums I'm going to have to spend some time in meditation on for sure. But it has been a wonderful week. Anthony Diorio, can you talk more about how angels and demons really are? I'm trying to learn what I can about almost anything, but my upbringing makes me terrified. I couldn't get through the Lucifer vid. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Okay. So let's try this here. So angels and demons are essentially the same branch of entity. So when you say angels and demons, think of it like saying humans. Where humans are all the same entities. We're all humans. You do have humans that have different slight adaptations based on where we live. Um, and this is why we have so much beautiful diversity within the human race, is due to those natural evolutionary adaptations. We're all still humans at the core. We're all still humans. That doesn't change. But that diversity that makes us such a beautiful species, and those adaptations, those do draw very minor cultural differences in us, but we are all still humans, okay? So angels and demons fall into that. They're all the same thing, just like we're all humans, but then they do have a slightly different culture or adaptations for different reasons. Angels being definitely more order based, and a lot of people refer to order as lawful. It's not really lawful. It's more ordered. Everything's like in its place. Everything has a specific pathway. They don't really deviate from that pathway. They're very structured. Where the demons would be more chaotic. They want to achieve the goal. They want to help you out the same way as the angels do. But instead of following a specific pathway, they want to take the shortest distance to get you there. They want to get you there as quick as possible, and they'll use any means necessary to do so. This is why a lot of people find angels far easier to work with, because they're going to follow that nice, easy path that transitions you over. But for some people, that's slow, that's boring. Whereas the demons can get you there quick, but you might bang your head on a tree or two or even a rock as you get dragged along for the ride. So it's the difference between a casual bike ride in the park and extreme mountain biking um, with rockets tied to your bicycle, for example. But neither one of them have any evil or bad intentions. It's just our perspective of what we want to do. So for somebody like me who doesn't really, I get bored. I don't have a lot of patience. I don't work a lot with angels because seriously, I get bored. I adore being able to sit down and talk with them and have a conversation, but doing much other workings, I tend to um, get bored quick. And it's nothing I hold against them. That's me. Lucifer, I actually adore working with him. It took me forever to reach out and talk to him, but I find him a very pleasant individual to sit down and have a cup of coffee with and chat. Um, but I do understand religious upbringing it's hard. It took me a very long time to sit down, take the time to reach out and talk to these entities, find out what was propaganda and what was truth. It took me a long time, Anthony. So I totally understand that. Totally. Let's see here. Where are we? Oh, crap. We jumped again. Let's see. Did I answer a question and not know it? Oh, okay. Yeah. I see what you're talking about. Do, 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 do. Uh, is that John Raymer? Welcome. Not sure I recognize your name, John. Good to see you, though. Hail to you, Drake. The Order of Divinity leads you support. Well, thank you. Infernal Sorcery, Order of Divinity. Awesome. And anime ask, are gods from different mythologies the same or different? In my experience, they are actually drastically different beings. I did notice after I hit the off button, you also asked last week, are they aware of each other? Very much so. They have alliances and treaties, and they do help each other out. But they are different entities. So Zeus and Odin are not the same being. They may share similarities because of similar duties, but they are not the same being. Much like you get me and my brother, or um, me and many of my friends that I work with, we share a lot in common. There's a lot of things as individuals we have in common. We are a group of individuals that do very, very closely relate. We are not the same. See, Celeste, I told the demons, or I like how you spelled that too, the demons. There you go. That I'm not ready. It's like I don't work in knowledge and respect them. I just want to get in position where I'm stable environment. No, that is perfect. See, you acknowledged them. You showed respect. You told them the truth. You're trying to better prepare yourself, get a good foundation. You're learning to ride the bike before you jump on the rocket bike. I don't blame you. As somebody who's first time ever trying to ride a bike, my ideal, and I'm serious, this is what I did as a kid. This shows my mentality. I got my bike, right? I took the training wheels off. I don't need those things. I saw my siblings on their bikes just zoom, zoom, zoom down this big gravel hill we had. I was like, I got that. I saw how easy it looked, right? So I jumped on my bike. I was at the top of the hill and I just nosed it down the hill. Well, gravity took me halfway down the hill, which helped me build up a great deal of speed. I didn't know how to ride a bike. I didn't know how to control the bike. The bike went topsy turvy, sideways, head over heels, and I just went sliding down the second half of the gravel hill, off the road, into the woods, and tumbled down the next hill through the woods until I slammed into a tree. See, I skipped the basic foundation and I paid for it. So no, Celeste, I think what you did is absolutely a good idea and it's respectful and that's a good way to do it. Build that foundation, learn to ride the bike before you go plummeting down the hill. Because yeah, that can get. I still got scars from that day. It was hilarious. I don't regret it. It's fun. Great story too. So I'm not gonna regret that one bit. But yeah, no, I like how you're doing that. It sounds like you're listening to what I teach. You know, approach with respect, be honest and truthful, and yeah, take your time, build that foundation, find your comfort zone. It's amazing. I like that, Celeste. I like it. Let's see. Let's see. Do any of the entities I ever worked with ever commented on my cooking or asked you to make something for them? Actually, yeah, yeah. A lot of entities, when they do, they know I love to cook. They know I have some culinary training. So, yes, they have asked me to cook for them, make them things. Um, I, who is it? It's Thor. Thor absolutely loves a seafood pasta dish I make. I do not make it often because many of you know I gave up carbohydrates. But when I make it, oh dear God, Thor will not leave me alone. And there's been a few times he's even bugged me to make it. And I usually have to talk him into eating some kind of meat dish with me. But that is one of the dishes. But yeah, they will definitely ask me for foods and stuff like that. Jambalaya, gumbos, chilies, soups, stews, steaks, roasts. Yeah, lots of it. And I'm generally willing to work with them on that. Luckily, they have realized and seen my commitment in getting back in shape and altering how I eat to deal with inflammation and stuff. So they have started to gravitate toward requesting dishes that are going to aid in that. So that is nice of them. I appreciate them taking that consideration. Though when my daughter visited, we did make the seafood pasta. Thor was freaking happy on that one. See, Birdie, is there a sign or way to know if you're a true empath? If you're a human, you're an empath. End of story. Being an empath is not a gift. It's nothing special. It deals with your arcane senses. Every single one of us has the ability within us. It's that simple. If you're human, if you're alive, if you're breathing, you're an empath. So just look in the mirror. Are you alive? Are you human? You passed the test. Congratulations. Let's see. Do-do-do-do. Celeste, if you want to follow that research out and you get to figuring it out, you let me know. I'd be happy to see how that research goes on that telekinesis. Send you the seafood recipe. I get a lot of questions about this because funny story about that seafood pasta recipe. Everyone who tries it thinks it's extremely complicated. It's hard to make, and my wife, almost any time she goes to any command, that seems to be the recipe that I make and send to any of their potlucks. And they want it. They always want and request it, and they think it's really, really hard to make. Um, I think my mom's originally the one who started building this. I don't think she's the one who ended up making it quite the way I do, but it is a very, very simple little redneck recipe because we love our pasta salads. But it is a recipe that I have considered sharing on the channel because it is so simple, it is so delicious, and it's pretty handy for potlucks. So yeah, I may share that with y'all. Time Machine, hey, mugs up to you from the UK. Glad you can make it. There are dragons that actually do. I can't say that they necessarily live in the particular mountain ranges and whatnots, but they do have kind of a sort of claim over the territory for different cultural reasons or things like that. Um, I'm not registering Shasta in my memory bank at the moment, de Oreo, and I apologize on that. But with that said, I would say that there is a very good chance of that because there are dragons that do inhabit different mountain ranges or have them as part of their territories, even though they don't inhabit them physically. Because again, if a dragon uh, puts too much energy to the physical plane, it's going to cause damage. And usually, dragons that have mountains as territory, they're pretty good age. So you wouldn't see them manifesting physically, but they would still have that territory, and they would have an energetic connection to it. It is good stuff. It really is. I wish I could eat carbohydrates more. Anime, there is no better. It depends on the person. It depends on the working you're doing. It depends on there's just factors. It's you got to look. It depends on the job you're doing. There is no better. They can both accomplish the exact same things without. Um, yeah, they can completely accomplish the exact same goals. This mentality of which one's more powerful, which one's better. This is Hollywood fictional BS. Any entity can get you to your goal if you're willing to take the time to do the work. Um, this idea of more powerful or better comes from laziness and video games and fictional writings. John asks if I ever worked with the Greek pantheon or Hecate. Yeah, actually, I have. In fact, I went to a few of the Hecate sickles out in Washington State when they had them out there. They were a lot of fun, very interesting. Some of the rituals got really intense on a couple of the ones I went to. I enjoy working with Hecate. I love her no nonsense attitude. Y'all know I love a good no nonsense attitude. Y'all know that. So yeah, me and Hecate totally jived there. Um, Hades, I've worked with a lot. Hermes, even worked with Persephone a little bit, and Athena. Hades is probably the one I have the most repertoire with. Interestingly enough, though, after years of working with Hades, Hades is the one that originally introduced me to hell from the Norse pantheon, and to continue my work in the underworld and in the currents of death with hell. So that was a very interesting thing that he was originally the one who introduced me to her. That was a curveball. I do still occasionally work with Hades. Him and we still chat. I work with him quite a bit, but most of my work these days in those realms are done with hell. Celeste, is there a ritual? I'll be honest with you. You would be hard pressed to find a human being that does not have some Fey blood in them that's in existence on this planet now. So the concept of I have Fey blood, okay, you're human. The Fey have, for so many years, the bloodlines have mixed for so long until the queens literally said that's enough and closed that option, that you're not going to find a human bloodline without Fey in it. And merfolk are a form of Fey, so that's just doubling up and saying Fey Fey. Um, and Elven is also Fey, so yeah, every human on the planet is going to have some form of that bloodline in them. Let's see here. Oh, we jumped again. Hey, Peachy! Glad you could make it. Oh, anime. No, you do not sell your soul when you make a contract. If you had watched even one, if not two, of the three pact videos I made to dispel all the myths that base around pacts, you would know this. Um, the soul has no value. You do not go to hell for working with a demon for any reason, shape, form, or fashion. It does not work that way. That is religious scare tactics. And as I recall, we answered that question for you 2 weeks ago. Let's see. The vault. In my sleep, something grabbed my leg. And I saw a sigil and someone say, Goetia, found. Okay, first off, the vote, nothing can possess you without your permission. So when you felt something grab you, it wasn't trying to possess you, it wasn't trying to take over. It might have been trying to get your attention. And yes, sometimes when things try to get our attention, especially when we're asleep, we panic. We get scared. It happens to the best of us. Um, I don't know what the sigil was. If you can look it up, check it out. You said you heard the word Goetia. Clearly, the place I would start is look within the Goetia. There's 72 sigils for the 72 spirits. Find out if any of them match up and perhaps proceed from there. But you weren't in danger of being possessed there, and you shouldn't feel bad. They understand that if you get spooked or scared, that happens. They understand that. They're completely understanding of that. You don't have to worry about that. Nubis, hey, glad you can make it. Long time no see. Again, anime, it's not about who's more cool. It doesn't work that way unless you're a judgmental individual. If you're judgmental, you may have an opinion there and you may shun people based upon that. But I'm not judgmental, and I don't think most of the people here are. Now, notice you've been missing in action for a little while. It's okay. We're glad you can make it back. Hope you've been doing all right, mate. It's always good to see people coming back. See, Celeste Sodrake, I've been considering many places to reside after I cross the veil. I can't choose between Norse and Greek or angelic related heavens. Would it be possible to create my own heaven in advance? Um, that's actually an interesting question. But considering you can construct your arcane sanctum and your sanctum remains even after you cross the veil when you ascend, um, if you manage to achieve ascent this road around, your sanctum would be there and would essentially be your heaven. So that would definitely work absolutely. Also, you're not net relegated to just one. So if you actually work with Norse, Greek, and the angels, you can actually move back and forth between them as you see fit. Kind of like having a vacation home in different realms, if you will. That is doable. So you don't actually have to nail yourself down to one specific. Also, remember, Valhalla is not like the Elysian Fields. So many people think Valhalla is immediately Norse heaven. It's not. The afterlife within Norse is very, very complex. Valhalla is only one place, and it is has very specific entry fee requirements. Not everyone goes to Valhalla. You have to earn your way in. Helheim is actually the land of the dead, and it's actually where you would find the Norse version of the Elysian Fields, even. So, and then from Helheim, you may earn your way into different sections that are broke up by the halls and realms of the different gods, depending from there. Anthony Dior, yes, the dragons did have a claw in some of the creation of the universe, as did all the creator gods. Of course, it was a very, very group effort. As far as the details of it, I'm not 100% sure on all the details, because once you understand that it was a group effort, you realize that the study and research of its creation starts to get baffling. Even the Fey Queens actually had a hand in its creation. Let's see, guys. I won't make it here. You won't be able to make it for the sevens. I apologize. We've had so many people that can't make it to the fives and the sixes, Celeste. We're going to have to adjust the times. I apologize. Hopefully, you can make a few of them. We would definitely miss you for sure. Hey, whoa, okay, okay. At, welcome. Mugs up to you. Good to see you. No, anime. Humans are humans. Uh, well, first off, you have to understand the Goetia is not necessarily demons. They are spirits. And many of them are actually angelic spirits, and many of them would categorize as demons. It isn't just necessarily that simple. There is a collection and book of angels that mirrors the Goetia, because the Goetia did get the reputation of being demons. Because, hey, religions, they don't like when people name anything and give it power. And I am planning to do a series on those 72 angels as well. We're getting ready to start shooting some of those. So hopefully you all look forward to that. Hey Drake, how important is charging amulets or sigils on a pendant? If you want them to do something, it's quite important. A sigil, a symbol, anything like that, when you draw it, it has no power of itself. Sorry. If you don't activate it, if you don't charge it, it's just scratches on a piece of paper or an amulet. The lines have no power in and of themselves. You have to charge it. So if you want it to do something, it's very, very important to charge it. If you just want it to be decorative, you don't have to charge it. Oh, Helheim is an absolutely gorgeous place. People really have the wrong idea about Helheim. It is extremely beautiful. And if you read the Poetic Edison, it talks about the sun and the grassy fields and the mountains. You get a very, very clear depiction of the beauty of it. and it's only a small snippet of that depiction, even in the Edis. But it is a gorgeous place. Yes, it has its darker areas, but Helheim is not just this horrible underground, dark, dank, um, drab place. It is absolutely gorgeous. At you are absolutely right about that. Oh yeah, you can traverse the realms easy, and you can visit Valhalla. Yes, that's. There's a difference in visiting and residing. Those two things are different. So anyone can visit. Anubis, would you move to a draconian type afterlife after a human died, but worked extremely heavily with dragons for most of their life? I don't know what you mean by draconian afterlife. Are you saying could you reside in the draconic realms? Um, you could not permanently reside within the draconic realms as an afterlife, and there are reasons for that. The draconic realms are there's only certain areas in which you could reside long term, and even that would be considered temporary as an afterlife. So you would still have to have another place to reside, and those spots that would be temporary would be in that central hub where it's traversed by multiple different types of entities. It's not specifically set aside to the dragons. Out within the draconic wilds, which is a dragon's only place, you would not be able to reside. It would actually pretty much end up destroying you. I did say it's hard to find humans without Fey blood, but that does not mean the human species is an amalgam of created from other things. There is a difference scientifically between a chimera and a um, just mixed blood. There's a tremendous difference, anime. Tremendous difference. And what you're asking about is a chimera, which is a mutated blend between things. Oh, it does. The colors in Helheim are absolutely amazing. Reaper, is telekinesis real? We actually talked about this a little bit at the first of stream. So if you're just catching the live stream, go back and watch the beginning. I went into it in more detail. In theory, the possibility of telekinesis is theoretically possible. Has anyone actually shown proof of it? No, I've never seen anyone to actually show proof or data of it. In fact, I have traveled and interviewed 75, 80 people, all of them charlatans. To this, I still keep looking for someone who can prove its telekinesis as a real, verifiable thing. So far, everyone falls flat on their face with it. So at this time, with the data I have to say I am unaware of anyone in history or current that has actually proven and shown actual telekinetic abilities outside fiction and myth. But also magically, am always open to new data and always willing to learn more and be proven wrong. And I do continue to research telekinesis in those areas, which, if you go back, like I said, you'll see more detail on that particular discussion earlier in the stream. Let's see. Darren Fraser, are there spirits that are known to be more patient, to be more and beginner friendly in your experience? This is hard, Darren, because beginner friendly actually does also have to take into account the personality of the person. And let me explain this to you, because earlier in the stream we talked about the differences between angels and demons, how they are essentially the same beings, much like all humans and cultures of humans are all humans. but we have our differentials. Um, Now, that said, a lot of people find angels very, very easy to start with because angels are very easygoing. I had a very hard time working with angels because I'm not patient. They are too easygoing for me. And I'm a southerner, guys. Seriously. Um, so yeah, they're easygoing, but they were not a good beginner entity for me because they were too freaking easygoing, too slow, and it was maddening. I couldn't slow down enough to keep up with them, if that makes sense. So I needed to actually step up to something. So a beginner entity, you really have to look at your personality and their personality to find out what is the correct beginner entity. Because there are entities that can be very well too slow for you, too patient for you, and that's going to drive you ape shit. And yes, the opposite's true. There are going to be entities that are just like full on, just let's go, and they're going to go dragging you through the gravel, and you're not going to be able to keep up with them, and that's going to suck. So answering that question is very difficult anytime people talk about beginner friendly entities. The best thing I can tell you is to do your research and find an entity whose ideals and personalities that really mesh with you, and then begin to meditate on that entity and try to reach out and connect with them on that level. Because that is one of those things. There is no singular beginner entity, non beginner entities. I think in the Tiamat video, I did actually say Tiamat is an entity I would not recommend for beginners. And honestly, that is true. As a general terminology and general view, I would not recommend Tiamats for beginners. However, that said, I do know people who have come greenhorned as can be to Magick, and Tiamat was the entity that brought them to Magick and interested them, and they jumped in full on, no net, straight in. Um, and to hear them tell it, it was a rough ride and a rough road, but they enjoyed every minute of it. It was what they were looking for, and they did progress, they did grow, and they found their feeding. But they needed that stress, they needed that chaos. It's where they thrive. Think of your extreme sports junkies; they gotta have that adrenaline. So what is a beginner entity will depend on the person very, very drastically. Yeah, I've actually trained in many, many, many weapons, martial arts, and more, and in Valhalla, both in real life and in Valhalla. Actually, it was I learned working with Odin and Thor in Valhalla the practicalities and advantages of weapons like spears and warhammers. Spear and warhammer really does not get enough credit in modern melee weaponry. They're actually kind of scoffed at, but they really do have some advantages. And honestly, these days, after learning what I learned, I think I'd reached for them before I reached for a sword. I won't lie. Yeah, angels are definitely, if you're worried, angels would be the easier one because they are so chill. They're so slow. They're so easygoing. That's one of the reasons I tried them. They were too easygoing for me. But I think angels are a good place to start, and then stair step up and find your comfort zone from there. I think would be a reasonable ideal there. Yeah, yeah. Tiamat can be very, very scary, and as a chaos dragon, she should be. She really should be. And most people are not willing to accept the drastic, and I do mean drastic, change that comes with working with chaos dragons. Um, in fact, there's actually someone, they were asking me questions about chaos dragons, and I was talking about the drastic changes and everything. And then they got mad at me for telling them to take their time. And then they just went ahead and jumped in and started working with, I think, four or five chaos dragons. And then they emailed me crying and blaming me because their life went to shit. And it's like, I literally have an email telling you to take your time and not do this because your life's going to go to shit. And you're blaming me because you literally did the thing I warned you about not doing. You got to be careful with that. Let's see. I have no idea who you're talking about, Anime. See, I typically only burn sigils to release them, or in the spell, or in baneful magic to take the big nasty energy and help it travel. Um, there you can use them in all the you can burn sigils in all those ways, but there's also other variant ways that you can utilize it as well, including permanent sigils. It just depends on how you're working, the release method that makes the most sense to you. But yeah, all those are totally doable. Celeste, take it easy. Have a good evening. Actually, we're not too far from having to log off here myself. Got some work I got to do. Have a good evening and a good week. Take care. Default, who's the first angel you will be doing a video on? I don't know. I have to double check on that. That's a fair question. I have the list, but it's the angels that are in there. They're not your typical like Michael, Raphael. The names are their names are a little harder to pronounce. So I'm really crappy with those names. I'd have to pull out my list, mate. I apologize. Alternate witchy unicorn. A beginner dragon would be your guardian dragon and your co-magician. Those are actually hands down, without a doubt, the best dragons to begin with. Because even the rulers, you can't actually approach the rulers in full without a guardian and a co. You can't. Draconic law will prevent it. You can contact their shadow. You can contact a small portion of them, but yeah, they'd be so watered down it doesn't even come close. So if you're wanting to start with dragons, focus on that guardian and that co-magician first. All of the dragons will keep their distance to some extent until that point, especially dragons like the rulers or Tiamat, those specifically. Um, Outside that, some of the ones that you might consider approaching is check out this channel. We got two. Expoon Well, pretty easy, beginner friendly, lovely guy to chat with, as is Torgra. So many people here on the channel absolutely love working with Torgra or just sitting to chat with him because he's just so chill. And we do have videos on both of those dragons here on this channel. Katie, it's not really, is there a singular best way? Different people will charge them in different ways. Me personally, I love to focus energy directly into them while also staring and activating them and getting them to um, open up. That's my preferred way to do it. Which, if you check out my sigil magic for beginners, that's the exact thing I teach. That is probably the easiest, most efficient way because you're going to make sure there's a lot of energy in there. It's going to be tangible. It's going to be focused on your intent. And you don't need a lot of extra nuts and bolts, and you don't have to worry whether or not you got what you need. You literally just need a piece of paper and a writing implement, and you can pretty much get your sigil spells done. Um, so, I mean, in my personal perspective, I would say that would be my preferred, if not efficiently considered the best way. But um, it also depends on the practitioner and what they find works best for them. Buffalo, do I have any knowledge of E.A. Quaiding's nine demonic gatekeepers? Well, I've worked with all nine of the entities that is within that series. Have I read his books? No, personally, I find all the books overpriced. That said, though, I do have Kindle Unlimited, and there's three or four on there. And I read through those three or four to kind of get an idea of what the series was like because I was, do I want to invest in this book series? Would it be worth the $80+ per book investment? Um, and I decided that they weren't worth it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're bad books. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. But the books consist of an anthology of multiple authors doing short research projects focused in on each of these entities. And reading through these, I found the insights, I found the gnosis interesting. Um, but there's nothing in there that I couldn't do already just by reaching out and working with the entity. There's nothing I couldn't find for myself in that particular anthology where I currently am in my practice. The entities are they're there for anyone to work with. Um, so I personally have not invested in them beyond that. I will say some of the research projects in Gnosis presented in there by Bill Duvenbach, Azonoth Mason. Coettings is most of his were really interesting. Some of his later ones got a little weird, but some of his original writings, at least in the series, were pretty neat. I liked them. Um, there's another one. I want to say it was a Conley. Wrote a piece or two in one of them. I don't remember which book it was, but their pieces were kind of insightful and neat. I liked it. Um, there was another young lady wrote one of them. I think it was Orly Stewart wrote one of the pieces in the anthology. She wrote a couple, but only one of her pieces really caught my attention. So um, and I do love reading anthologies because of that. You do get a lot of different viewpoints and different methods of working. And if I said those books had any real value that I would truly recommend, it's the different perspectives. So many people want to see only one view, only one perspective, only one pathway, only one understanding of an entity. And that is the easiest way to make sure you never achieve as a magician if you only see that singular pinpoint, narrow minded view. And anthologies like that help you to expand and understand and view the same material from multiple points of view. And I think that can be very helpful. Um, but I don't foresee me actually investing in the series as a whole, just because there wasn't enough in there that I saw that would make me curious to continue reading the series. But if you do have Kindle Unlimited, I'd read the few that's available with it. And I will admit, some of Coedin's writings I actually enjoy. I find his viewpoints insightful. Um, I don't agree with everything he does. I'm sure he don't agree with everything I do. But we don't have to agree to be able to garner wisdom and perhaps expand our horizons. Dragons do take humanoid form. If you actually watch the videos on like Terrafauna, Ingus Salor, we actually talk about their humanoid form in those videos here on the channel. Birdie, at what point working with your guardian dragon do you see good co-magician? Well, you want to make sure you have a good functional relationship with that guardian. Now, in Dragon Magic 101, we actually set it up in a path working where we give you 1 to 2 weeks of working with your guardian specifically daily. Um, so you two can bond and get to know each other and actually build that friendship before you move on to your guardian. So in general, I would say make sure you're working with them daily to really get to know them and you get to and them to get to know you for a week or two at least. And depending on the time, the effort you put into it, and how well you get to know each other, some people it takes longer. I know one person spent practically a year working with their guardian before they moved on. There's nothing wrong with it. They just wanted to make sure they had that extra time and that relationship was good and solid. I respect that. Um, but in general, I'd say you'd want to spend 1 to 2 weeks daily work to get to know them and start building that relationship before you jumped in. Because when you get your co magician, you now have two relationships you have to maintain. You can't just start ignoring your guardian. If you start ignoring your guardian, your co magician will make you regret that. Trust me. Anthony Diorio, would there be any benefit to getting the dragon's eye seal as a tattoo? Seriously considering. Well, I mean, you'd have access to the sigil or seal anytime you needed it. It would actually. Um, it would open you physically to the draconic energies flowing more easily through you. Now, is that a good thing? Is it a positive? Is that a negative? That really depends on how you handle that situation. I would make sure you fully understand draconic energy before you go tattooing it on you. That said, though, if you understand draconic energy, you're sure that's something you want in your life 24/7, every day of the week for the rest of your life, by all means, go ahead and get it tattooed. I do know dragon magic practitioners who have asked my permission to get that tattooed on them. Um, and they've tattooed it. They've had some great results. A few of them, they've had some nightmarish results because it did open them to energy currents and stuff that increased what they were working on, increased some of that draconic alchemy and that change. And it was beneficial in the long run, but on the upfront, the front loading of it, they were having nightmares and waking up in cold sweats and everything because they weren't ready for the influx of the energy, Anthony. But that's not a negative because it did accelerate them to an extent. And once they got everything worked out and balanced out, then they were stable. So yeah, it can have a benefit. And I mean, if you wanted to get it, by all means, but just make sure you're aware that that energy influx will be there. And if you've got it tattooed, you're stuck. You can't get away from the energy influx. So you better be ready to do the work to get that balance down. And anime, if you don't start listening to the moderators when they tell you something, we will have to actually block you from the live chat. Straight up. I don't want to do it. Don't make me do it. But this is the third stream in a row where I've seen you not listen to the moderators. So, yeah. When the moderators in here, like Jade, Halloween, Peachy, say something, listen. All right. We do have a time on this. Let's see. What is this here at the bottom? Let's see if I can grab this last one. Bernoldus, you show up right as we're getting ready to leave, man. Come on, seriously. Garrison Mbalo. If I butchered your name, I apologize there, Garrison. Hail, Drake. I've been thinking about the occult as a whole, and I wanted to ask, how do you study this knowledge properly so that you actually know truth? Because I'm thinking soon I'll have to reevaluate. Garrison, you know what? I'm going to answer this question and then we're going to get going. So this is the last question I'm getting. Okay, let's just get that there. Garrison, this is actually a good question. And I know I'm going to run over on my time, but this is actually going to be a good one because much like science, where you take the data coming in and you always have to be willing to reevaluate and adjust to the new data, the new understanding that is presented before you. The same thing is true within the cult or within the occult. The didn't get out there and it sounded almost like I said cult, but no, it's occult. So look at the 28 laws of magic. We did a video or two videos on them, I think. And one of the things you have to understand is if what you're doing is manifesting the results and you're achieving the goals that you want to achieve through that practice, that's fine and dandy. Keep going with it. But as more information and data comes forward, you do need to look at it, evaluate it, and test it and see if it functions for you. This is why some paths work for some people, some paths don't. Just because it doesn't work for you doesn't mean it won't work for someone else. So you can't just start browbeating and putting people down because they're not doing things your way. And truth actually is a variable that isn't solid as people might think. What is true in one case might not be true in another case based on time, place, position, or even plane of existence. For example, is a spider eating murder? To the spider, no, I'm eating dinner. To the fly, yes, it's murder. So you have to actually be willing to look at that data and that understanding in order to be able to do that, Garrison. And you do have to really take an almost scientific like approach and be willing to be wrong and accept being wrong, not as a bad thing, but a chance to learn and grow. And sometimes you're not wrong. Sometimes you have to kind of just course correct and adjust your philosophies a little bit to accommodate the new data that's been presented with you. And if you keep your mind in that ability to take the data and evaluate it and to apply it and use what is functional and what helps you manifest your goals on your path and reach the results you're wanting while not berating other people, you'll be doing a good job, mate. You'll be doing a real good job. Okay? I hope that helps you out a little bit there, Garrison. All right, everyone, I'm going to hop off here. They're already flagging me on time and yelling at me, but I did want to get that last one because that was an important question. We will be releasing a new video coming out Tuesday, and this one's an important one when it comes to doing magic and helping things manifest. So I really hope you all check that out. Again, reminder, we will be moving the streams back to the 7 p.m. times because it works best for most of our audience. For those people who can't make the 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I apologize. We tried our best to try a new time that would work for more people, and it actually ended up excluding more people, and we have to do the best we can for what we got. So I do apologize. Also, for those who are curious, because it's popped up in stream a time or two here tonight, yes, me and Halloween, my daughter, we do have a channel where it's not a cult, it's just goofy, fun, and geeky called Dad and Daughter D&D. If you're interested in such things and just want a good laugh, check it out. Or if you just want to support us, we'd always welcome you. You guys are like family and friends to us. We appreciate the support. So until next time, everyone, you have a fantastic week. Keep up the research, keep up your journals, keep those notations, keep trugging along. You will get there. And I will see y'all next week on Friday for Research and Ramblings. All right. Take care. Good night. Bye bye.